The Welsh singer Bonnie Tyler, best known for her hit Total Eclipse of the Heart, has died aged 75. It's according to a statement on her website being shared by the family. It was posted to Facebook as well.
Rumors can spread across the internet in just a few hours, especially when they involve a beloved music legend like Bonnie Tyler. Recently, shocking claims about her tragic death have left many fans confused and searching for answers. Some reports even suggested that her husband had finally spoken out. But what is really true? Join us in this video as we separate fact from fiction, examine where these stories came from, and reveal what has actually been said about Bonnie Tyler, her husband, and the rumors that continue to capture attention online. Bonnie Tyler's final chapter and the man who stood beside her. The world was left shocked after news emerged that legendary singer Bonnie Tyler had passed away unexpectedly at the age of 75, and the announcement came from her family, who shared the heartbreaking news through a statement on her official website. While many fans were waiting to hear from those closest to her, her husband of 53 years, Robert Sullivan, has not released a separate personal statement. Instead, he was part of the family announcement that confirmed the loss of the woman he had shared more than 5 decades of life with. Known around the world for her powerful voice and unforgettable songs, Bonnie Tyler became a music icon. But away from the bright lights and packed stadiums, Bonnie lived a much quieter life with Robert. The couple built a strong relationship away from the public eye, dividing their time between Portugal and Wales. They also explored business opportunities together, especially in property development. Bonnie once revealed that Robert had a natural talent for investments, and together they built a collection of properties, including a farm in New Zealand, horse stables, and several homes in England. For years, Robert remained the steady figure beside Bonnie, supporting her through the highs and challenges of a remarkable career. And now, as fans remember the singer's incredible legacy, attention has turned to the private life and lasting love story she shared with the man who stood by her side for over half a century. What really happened to Bonnie, leading to her untimely death? Keep watching to find out. The medical battle that changed everything. It all began in early May 2026, when reports emerged that Bonnie Tyler had been rushed to a hospital near her home in Faro, Portugal, for emergency surgery. The situation was serious. Doctors discovered that she was suffering from a perforated or torn intestine, a dangerous medical condition that requires immediate treatment. Her team later confirmed that the surgery had taken place, and at first, there was cautious hope that she would recover. However, the road ahead was far more difficult than anyone expected. Bonnie's manager, Matt Davis, revealed that she had been placed into a medically induced coma after the operation. This was not simply a sign that she was unwell. It was a carefully controlled medical decision designed to give her body the best possible chance to heal. A medically induced coma places the brain into a deep state of sedation, allowing doctors to reduce stress on the body while it fights through a serious injury or illness. In situations as critical as Bonnie's, it can help manage pain, lower strain on vital organs, and give the body valuable time to recover after major surgery. During this difficult period, Bonnie's family asked fans to respect their privacy, and many supporters around the world waited patiently for updates. At first, there was a feeling of cautious optimism. The surgery had been completed, and everyone hoped that the legendary singer was beginning the long process of recovery. But then, the situation became more complicated. Reports suggested that Bonnie's condition had worsened, and doctors had to place her on a ventilator to help keep her stable. When medical teams later attempted to bring her out of the coma, she reportedly experienced a brief cardiac arrest, showing just how serious her condition had become. For weeks, updates remained limited as her family focused on protecting her during one of the most frightening moments of their lives. Then, in June, fans received a hopeful update. Bonnie had reportedly woken up from the coma, bringing a wave of relief to those who had been praying for her recovery. But behind the hopeful headlines was an important detail. Although she had regained consciousness, her team explained that she remained very unwell and was still receiving intensive care. This was not the end of her struggle. It was only another step in a difficult and uncertain recovery journey. Because of her health battle, Bonnie was forced to cancel and postpone several planned performances across Europe. This was especially heartbreaking because 2026 was supposed to be a major celebration year for her career. It marked 50 years since the release of Lost in France, the 1976 hit that helped introduce her powerful voice to audiences across Europe. She had planned performances in countries including Malta, Germany, the United Kingdom, Austria, Hungary, Turkey, and Romania to celebrate 5 decades of music. Instead, fans spent the summer hoping for positive updates and waiting to hear that the singer they admired was getting stronger. Then, on the night of July 8th, leading into July 9th, Bonnie Tyler passed away unexpectedly, according to the statement released by her family. From the emergency surgery in May to her final moments in the Portuguese hospital, Bonnie's journey became a reminder of how quickly life can change. Just months earlier, she was still creating music, performing for fans, and celebrating her incredible legacy. But a sudden medical emergency transformed into a fight for survival that she ultimately could not overcome. To truly understand why Bonnie Tyler's passing has affected so many people around the world, we have to look back at the remarkable journey that made her a music legend. Because behind the famous voice was a story of determination, resilience, and an underdog who fought her way to the top. But before the world knew Bonnie Tyler, who was she really? Let's find out. From Gaynor Hopkins to Bonnie Tyler, the rise of a music legend. Before Bonnie Tyler became the unforgettable voice behind some of the biggest songs in music history, she was simply Gaynor Hopkins, a young girl growing up in Skewen, Neath, Wales. Born on June 8, 1951, Bonnie came from a humble background. Her father, Glyndwr Hopkins, worked as a coal miner and had also served during World War II, while her mother, Elsie Hopkins, was a housewife who raised their large family. Growing up, Bonnie lived in a 4-bedroom council house with her 3 sisters and 2 brothers. Music was always around her. Through her siblings, she was introduced to a wide range of artists and sounds, including legends like Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and the Beatles. Those early influences helped shape the powerful and emotional style that would later become her trademark. Her connection to music started at a very young age. Bonnie's first public performance happened inside a chapel, where she sang the Anglican hymn, "All Things Bright and Beautiful." Coming from a deeply religious Protestant family, singing was not just a hobby for her. It was something that gave her confidence and a way to express herself. However, Bonnie's journey was not an overnight success story. After leaving Rhethier Comprehensive School at 16 without qualifications, she began working in a grocery shop. But deep down, she knew she wanted more. In 1969, her aunt entered her into a local talent competition, and although she finished second to an accordion player, the experience encouraged her to chase her dream of becoming a singer. She started by working as a backing vocalist for Bobby Wayne and the Dixies, before eventually forming her own band called Imagination. Around this time, she changed her name to Shireen Davis because she wanted to avoid confusion with Welsh folk singer Mary Hopkin. But another major change was still ahead. In 1975, while performing with her band at the Townsman Club in Swansea, Bonnie was discovered by talent scout Roger Bell. He invited her to London to record a demo, and after months of waiting, she received the life-changing phone call from RCA Records offering her a recording contract. The record company believed she needed a new stage name, so Shireen Davis searched through newspapers for inspiration. That was when she found the name that would become famous worldwide: Bonnie Tyler. Her early years in the music industry were filled with challenges, but she refused to give up. Working with managers, songwriters, and producers Ronnie Scott and Steve Wolfe, she released her debut single, My Honeycomb, in 1976. Although it did not become a major hit, it was the beginning of a career that would soon change forever. Later that same year, everything began to shift with the release of Lost in France. To promote the song, RCA organized a major publicity campaign, bringing music journalists and radio DJs to France to meet Bonnie. The strategy worked. The song became her first major breakthrough, reaching the top 10 in the United Kingdom and earning her an appearance on the famous television show Top of the Pops. Her debut album, The World Starts Tonight, followed in 1977. Although it struggled to make a major impact in the UK, it found success in other countries, especially Sweden. Around this period, Bonnie also faced a major challenge when she underwent surgery to remove vocal cord nodules. Doctors advised her to rest her voice, but after one emotional moment when she screamed in frustration, she developed the rough, raspy voice that would later become one of her most recognizable features. That unique voice helped her achieve even greater success. In 1977, she released It's a Heartache, a song that became one of her biggest early hits. It reached number 4 in the UK and number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the United States, introducing Bonnie Tyler to millions of new listeners around the world. Throughout the late 1970s and early 1980s, Bonnie continued building her career, releasing albums, touring internationally, and proving that she was more than just a one-hit wonder. She represented the United Kingdom at the Yamaha World Popular Song Festival in Japan in 1979 and won the Grand Prix International Award for her performance of Sitting on the Edge of the Ocean. But despite her achievements, Bonnie felt frustrated with the direction of her career. She believed her record label was pushing her toward a style that did not fully represent her voice or personality. After leaving RCA, she signed with CBS Columbia and began searching for a producer who could help reinvent her image. That search led her to Jim Steinman, the man who would help create the defining moment of her career. Bonnie had always admired his dramatic rock style, and she believed he was the person who could bring out the best in her voice. Their collaboration changed everything. When Bonnie performed Total Eclipse of the Heart, Steinman immediately recognized the power and emotion behind her voice. The song was released in 1983 and became a worldwide phenomenon, selling millions of copies and turning Bonnie Tyler into a global superstar. Her album, Faster Than the Speed of Night, reached incredible heights, earning her Grammy nominations and international recognition. She followed that success with other unforgettable songs, including Holding Out for a Hero from the Footloose soundtrack and If You Were a Woman and I Was a Man. By the end of the 1980s, Bonnie Tyler had built a career that few artists could match. From a small Welsh town to international stages, her journey was filled with setbacks, reinvention, and determination. And behind the powerful voice that millions knew was a woman who had spent decades fighting for her place in music history. Her rise was only the beginning. But how did Bonnie keep shining? Stay tuned to find out. Bonnie Tyler's unstoppable journey, reinventing herself across 5 decades. After becoming a global star with Total Eclipse of the Heart, Bonnie Tyler faced the challenge that many artists experience after reaching the top, proving that one major success was not the end of the story. Instead of slowing down, she continued evolving, exploring new sounds, working with different producers, and building a career that would last for decades. In 1990, Bonnie signed with Hansa BMG Areola and began a new chapter in her musical journey. She worked with several respected producers, including Dieter Bohlen, Giorgio Moroder, Nick Kershaw, and Roy Beaton. The goal was to create a sound that could connect with audiences across different countries. According to Hansa's A&R manager David Brunner, the team believed Bonnie had the ability to reach listeners around the world, so they experimented with different styles and moods. That approach led to the release of her 8th studio album, Bitter Blue, in November 1991. The album showed a different side of Bonnie's music. Instead of the dramatic rock style that defined some of her earlier work, it leaned toward a more mainstream pop sound. The title track became successful across several European countries and was even recognized as Catchy Song of the Year at the RSH Gold Awards. Although Bitter Blue received criticism in the United States because some felt the production overshadowed Bonnie's unique voice, the album became a major success in mainland Europe. It reached the top of the charts in Austria and Norway, where it achieved impressive sales and spent 11 weeks at #1. Bonnie continued this success with albums like Angel Heart in 1992 and Silhouette in Red in 1993. Both projects featured more work with Dieter Bohlen and helped strengthen her popularity throughout Europe. Her talent was recognized internationally, earning her awards including Best International Singer at the Goldene Europa Awards and Best Pop Rock Singer at the Echo Awards. In 1995, Bonnie moved to East West Records and released Free Spirit. The album brought together several talented producers, including Humberto Gatica, David Foster, and Jim Steinman. One of its standout moments was her cover of Air Supply's Making Love Out of Nothing at All, which reached the UK singles chart in 1996. As the years continued, Bonnie refused to become a singer remembered only for her past hits. She experimented with new projects, collaborated with different musicians, and continued releasing new music. Her 1998 album, All in One Voice, showed her willingness to explore different sounds, while her appearance on Rick Wakeman's progressive rock album, Return to the Center of the Earth, placed her voice alongside artists from different generations. In 2001, Bonnie released Greatest Hits, a collection celebrating her incredible career. The album performed strongly, entering the UK Albums Chart and earning a silver certification. It reminded fans that her music had remained powerful across decades. The early 2000s brought even more creative opportunities. In 2003, Bonnie released Heartstrings, an album that featured her interpretations of songs by artists such as U2, the Beatles, and Bruce Springsteen, performed alongside an orchestra. Around the same time, she experienced another major career revival when she teamed up with French singer Karine Anton for a bilingual version of Total Eclipse of the Heart. The new version, titled Si Demain, Turn Around, became a huge success in France and Belgium. It spent 10 weeks at #1 in France and sold hundreds of thousands of copies, introducing Bonnie's music to a new generation of fans. Bonnie continued releasing albums and performing internationally throughout the 2000s. Projects like Simply Believe and Wings allowed her to showcase both new songs and refreshed versions of her classic hits. She toured extensively across Europe and received recognition for her lifelong contribution to music, including the Lifetime Achievement Steiger Award in 2005. Even after decades in the spotlight, Bonnie Tyler continued surprising audiences. She appeared on television shows, collaborated with younger artists, and found new ways to introduce her music to different audiences. In 2013, she represented the United Kingdom at the Eurovision Song Contest with the song Believe in Me, finishing in 19th place, but gaining another unforgettable experience in her long career. Her later years showed that Bonnie was far from finished. She continued touring, releasing music, and performing around the world. Albums like Rocks and Honey and Between the Earth and the Stars proved that her distinctive voice still had the power to connect with listeners. In 2021, she released The Best Is Yet to Come, a title that perfectly reflected her attitude toward music and life. Even in her 70s, Bonnie remained active, performing concerts and recording new material. In 2026, she released Only Love and continued celebrating the career she had built over more than 5 decades. From a young girl in Wales singing in a chapel to an international superstar with a voice recognized worldwide, Bonnie Tyler's journey was never simple. It was filled with challenges, reinventions, and moments of incredible success. And while fans remember the hits that made her famous, her greatest achievement may have been her ability to keep moving forward and remain true to herself for more than 50 years. Beyond the music and fame, what did Bonnie do for others? Let's find out. Bonnie Tyler's heart beyond the stage, a lifetime of giving back. While Bonnie Tyler became famous for her powerful voice and unforgettable songs, there was another side of her life that often received less attention. Away from the spotlight, she used her platform to support important causes and help people and communities in need. Throughout her career, Bonnie showed that her influence was not only about music, but also about making a difference. One of her earliest charity efforts came in the 1980s, when she joined the Anti-Heroin Project in 1986. The project brought together artists to record the song "It's a Live-In World," with the money raised going toward Phoenix House Charities, an organization that supported addiction recovery centers across the United Kingdom. At a time when addiction was affecting many lives, Bonnie used her voice to help bring attention to the issue. The following year, she became part of another major charity project. In 1987, Bonnie joined the British-American charity group Fairy Aid, contributing as a chorus vocalist on their cover of the Beatles' classic song, "Let It Be." The single was released to support victims of the Zeebrugge disaster, a tragic ferry accident that claimed many lives. The song became a huge success, selling more than 500,000 copies in the UK and remaining at the top of the charts for 3 weeks. In 1990, Bonnie continued using music as a way to support humanitarian causes when she joined Rock Against Repatriation. The group recorded a cover of "Sailing" as a protest against the forced return of Vietnamese boat people who had escaped to Hong Kong. Although the single reached a more modest position on the UK charts, the message behind it was focused on raising awareness for people facing difficult circumstances. Beyond music-based charity projects, Bonnie also dedicated years to helping children. From the 1990s, she became a patron of the Bobath Children's Therapy Centre in Cardiff, Wales. The organization provides specialized care for children with cerebral palsy and supports families dealing with the challenges that come with the condition. In 2013, Bonnie helped campaign for Bobath to receive recognition at the Pride of Britain Awards, showing her continued commitment to the cause. She also became an ambassador for the Noah's Ark Children's Hospital for Wales, supporting efforts to improve healthcare for children. Her connection to children's charities became one of the most meaningful parts of her public life, as she repeatedly used her fame to highlight organizations that needed attention. Bonnie's charity work also reached international causes. In January 2005, following the devastating Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami, she performed at the Rock for Asia benefit concert in Germany. The event raised money for survivors of the disaster and was later released as a DVD to continue supporting relief efforts. In 2007, Bonnie recorded "I Don't Know How to Love Him" for the charity album Over the Rainbow, a project created by Aneka Rice through Challenge Aneka. The album supported the Association of Children's Hospices and achieved major success, reaching #1 on the UK compilation chart. Her generosity continued over the following years. In 2009, Bonnie performed as the headline act at the Pinktober Women in Rock concert at London's Royal Albert Hall, an event focused on raising awareness and funds for breast cancer causes. In 2010, she joined singer Leo Sayer for a benefit concert in New Zealand, helping raise money for Variety, the children's charity. After spending many years living part of her life in Portugal, Bonnie also became involved with local causes there. In 2012, she was named patron of the AAG Animal Charity Association in Guia, Portugal, showing her love and concern for animal welfare. She continued supporting charitable campaigns in the years that followed. In 2013, she re-recorded her famous song "Holding Out for a Hero" for the Children in Need appeal. The following year, she supported a campaign calling for animals used in laboratory testing to be given new homes whenever possible. Even during difficult global moments, Bonnie found ways to help. In 2020, she contributed to a charity cover of the Alan Parsons Project's "Don't Answer Me," with proceeds supporting Bergamo, Italy, a city heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. For more than 5 decades, Bonnie Tyler was celebrated as a music icon, but her legacy goes beyond the songs that made her famous. Through countless charity projects, donations, and public campaigns, she showed that her voice could do more than entertain. It could bring attention to important causes and offer hope to people who needed it most. Behind her charitable heart was someone who stood beside her. But who was he? Keep watching to find out. Robert Sullivan, the man behind Bonnie Tyler's private life. Before Bonnie Tyler became a worldwide music sensation, before the fame, the awards, and the unforgettable performances, there was Robert Sullivan, the man who knew her before the world did. Their story began in 1970 when Robert was working as a club manager, and Bonnie, then still known as Gaynor Hopkins, was beginning her journey as a singer performing in nightclubs around Swansea, Wales. Unlike many celebrity relationships that begin after fame arrives, Bonnie and Robert's relationship was built before the spotlight found her. The couple married on July 4th, 1973, creating a partnership that would last for more than 5 decades. Bonnie often credited the timing of their relationship as one of the reasons their marriage remained strong. She once explained that meeting Robert before becoming famous helped them build something real without the pressure that often comes with celebrity life. They knew each other as ordinary people first. Before millions of fans around the world knew Bonnie Tyler as a music icon, the couple never had children, something Bonnie openly discussed over the years. She explained that they had chosen to wait, and eventually it became too late to change their plans. She also revealed that she experienced a miscarriage at the age of 40, a painful moment in her life. However, Bonnie always expressed her love for her nieces and nephews, joking that her home was always full of family members visiting Auntie Gaynor. Although Bonnie spent much of her career traveling the world, she and Robert created homes in places that remained close to their hearts. They owned a property in the seaside village of Mumbles, located on the Gower Peninsula near Swansea in South Wales, as well as a home in Albufeira, in Portugal's Algarve region. For Bonnie, their Portuguese home became a place of peace, away from the demands of performing. She described it as her sanctuary, a place where she could relax and enjoy a quieter side of life. However, despite living abroad, she never lost her connection to Wales. She often spoke about her love for Mumbles and the Gower coast, saying that when the weather was good, there were few places she would rather be. While Bonnie built her career on stage, Robert developed his own successful path in business. After working as a real estate agent, he became a property developer and investor. Over the years, he and Bonnie built a portfolio of properties around the world, turning their business decisions into another important part of their shared life. Their investment journey began in the 1970s, when Robert and a business partner purchased land in New Zealand. What started as a cashmere goat farm later became a dairy farm. Bonnie revealed that the couple eventually sold the property in 2023 after many years of ownership. Their business interests also extended to England. Bonnie shared that they owned 65 horse stables in Lambourne, Berkshire, which they rented to the Jockey Club. At one point, they also owned 22 houses in Berkshire, although most of those properties were later sold. While Robert's individual wealth has never been publicly revealed, reports have estimated that Bonnie and Robert's combined fortune reached around $40 million, supported by Bonnie's successful music career and their long-term property investments. But Robert's life before meeting Bonnie was also impressive. Before becoming known as a businessman, he was a talented judoka. In the early 1970s, he represented Great Britain at the 1972 Summer Olympics in Munich, competing in the men's half-middleweight division and finishing 18th. That same year, he won a silver medal at the European Team Championships in the Netherlands. While fans knew the powerful voice on stage, Robert knew the woman behind the music, Gaynor Hopkins. Their relationship was built on decades of love, partnership, business, and shared memories away from the public eye. After a lifetime together, how did the world say goodbye to Bonnie Tyler? Stay tuned to find out. The world remembers Bonnie Tyler. Emotional tributes pour in. Following the news of Bonnie Tyler's passing, tributes poured in from fans, fellow musicians, and famous figures who admired her incredible career and personality. Oscar-winning actress Catherine Zeta-Jones was among the first to share her heartbreak. The Wednesday and Chicago Star described Bonnie as a one-of-a-kind artist and praised not only her legendary voice, but also her sense of humor. Sharing a photo with the singer, Catherine said Bonnie was one of the funniest people she had ever met and thanked her for the happiness she brought to millions. Welsh singer Shakin Stevens also remembered Bonnie as a true professional and a bright light, saying she loved life and inspired others to do the same. William, Prince of Wales, called Bonnie a proud Welsh icon, highlighting how her powerful voice and unforgettable songs touched people around the world. He ended his message with Diolch am I gerdoriaeth, meaning thank you for the music in Welsh. Cliff Richard described Bonnie as a wonderful friend who brought joy to countless people. Meanwhile, Bryan Adams praised her incredible voice, and Rod Stewart honored her by performing her hit It's a Heartache. For many, Bonnie Tyler was more than a singer. She was a symbol of passion, resilience, and a voice that will continue to live on for generations. What do you think about the life and legacy of Bonnie Tyler? Let us know in the comments section below. In the end, Bonnie Tyler's incredible journey reminds us that behind the famous voice was a woman who inspired millions. While Robert Sullivan's love and support remained a constant throughout her life, her music and legacy will continue to live on. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity stories.